Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you've been following this podcast for a while, you know I've always recorded in Hebrew. That's where I feel most at home. But lately, I felt a pull, a quiet voice saying that I need to try something new. So, this is an episode in English. I don't know where it will take me. Maybe it's a one time experiment. Maybe it's the start of something bigger. But I do know this growth starts when we leave the familiar. So if you're listening, thank you for being part of this new step. It means a lot. Today's guest is not your average fitness coach. He doesn't preach counting calories or lifting heavy. Instead, he's built a global movement around primal living, deep healing, and unapologetic self expression. He's the creator of Primal Physique, and his journey from self destruction to radical self mastery has already inspired thousands. Jerome Tan is not just about transforming bodies, he's about transforming lives. Jerome, welcome to the podcast.
Wow. Like I was telling you, man, this is the first ever podcast I've ever been in, virtual or in person, because a lot of people reach out, but I've never felt that urge to do it. So this is the first time, and I'm excited, a bit nervous, but very grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And before we get into the how, I want to understand the why. What's the mission behind everything you do? The real reason you wake up and push so hard every day?
Hmm. Because when I was growing up, I was always moving places. So when I was 12 years old, we moved from Philippines to Singapore, and then 12 years old from sorry, 12 years old was in Singapore until 18, and then 18 we moved again from Singapore to Canada. So all my life was just like constant change, you know. So when I became an adult, I realized that I wanted to be in control of my life because up until 18 years old I was at the mercy of my parents and moving around nonstop. So I basically wanted to be in charge of my life instead of just going with the flow. So I guess starting 18 years old, that's when I became an entrepreneur. I've never had like a regular 9 to 5 job in my life. Mm, so I've done all kinds of things to make money, the non-traditional way. And fast forward to like 26, 27 years old, I had about 250 employees in Toronto and the Philippines. So I had like five businesses. I had my own brand of e-commerce. I had my brand of baby products. I had a trucking company, a digital agency,
Wow.
software as a service. And it was like a successful Toronto entrepreneur lifestyle, starting from nothing. It was just bootstrapped by me and my best friend at that time. But after a while, it started feeling like empty, because I was making more stuff in the world, like more products, more services. But most of the things that I was making, and I felt that most of the things that the economy is producing, it doesn't really add to people's bottom line health and happiness. Like we just create more products, more services, more options. Yes, slightly better, but honestly, we don't need like 1,000 brands of clothes, right? So at the end of the day, we're actually just creating more anxiety, more FOMO in people's minds, artificially, like, playing with their fears and desires. And at the end of the day, people's health suffers and the environment suffers. So basically, I just felt like, this whole matrix of consumerism, it's not really helping anyone's health and happiness, and it's not really making me healthy and happy too. So that's when, I started really focusing on my own health. And slowly, I started realizing instead of going to tropical places like Mexico or Asia for 2 months every year to escape the winter in Toronto, why not just make that my lifestyle? Why not make the vacation lifestyle my baseline lifestyle? So that's when I decided to leave, all those businesses behind, leave that lifestyle behind, and I've never regretted it since. Yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Well,
I mean, partially.
yeah, it does. I can really resonate with you because in our conversation before this episode, I told you that I have e-commerce businesses, and I'm right now on the verge of letting this go because I felt exactly what you're saying, that it's not aligning with my values anymore. It makes money, I create jobs, which is great. You can see all the positive things in it, but something tells me that I need to let it go and move on. It's not easy. So, hearing you, it gives me a lot of motivation and inspiration to
Mhm.
keep going where I'm going. I always thought that there can be a balance. You can do this and you can do that, and it's okay. You can work in a job that provide for your family, and then live your purpose somewhere else.
Mhm.
But recently, I found out that not for me. That I need whatever I do, if it's my job or my day to day, it has to align
Mhm.
with what I believe. So good for you for doing this. So you're telling me that what drives you now every day is helping people, finding happiness and improve their life, or there is something deeper that you're looking for because you have program, you help a lot of people, you post a lot of content. What is your goal there? Like, what is the mission that you're trying to achieve?
I think the older I get, well, before I say that, when I was younger, it was always about being healthy and happy. That was the goal, to be the healthiest and happiest version of myself. And the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing that health and happiness, they're actually like overlapping more and more. So actually, lately, I'm realizing that health and happiness is actually the same exact thing. When you're physically, financially, socially, mentally, sexually, psychologically, everything, spiritually healthy, that's when you're happiest. I think in the West, we just really pervert the word happiness. We kind of confuse it with instant gratification or pleasure or comfort. But I think when you focus more on health, you're thinking more about balance. And by the way, what you said earlier about balance, that's really beautiful because I got my first tattoo last week. No, actually, like 4 or 5 days ago, and it's the yin and yang symbol,
Hmm.
just to remind me how important really balance is. But before the balance thing, what I was saying was with the health. So the older I'm getting, the more I'm realizing health is really everything. Um, and the concept when you pursue health, you're thinking more about like fulfillment, wholeness, balance instead of like happiness, which is like pleasure. And usually there's like a dopamine crash later on or some other side effects. So, personally, for me, my North Star more and more is really just about optimizing my own health. And you realize that once your cup is overflowing, then naturally you just want to help others, or naturally people kind of look up to you to inspire them or to help guide them. So it's a very natural transition of just leading and being an example, showing people what they can also achieve. So yeah, lately I guess, like, it's like the tip of the spear would be my own personal life. I want to be the healthiest version of myself and then take care of my family. And once that's full, more money doesn't really make me happier because for me, the things that I really enjoy, like spearfishing, working out, sauna, ice bath, journaling, meditation, diving deeper into esoteric practices to really optimize health and longevity, all these things are free or cheap. So like when you're not pulled by luxury or consumerism anymore. I mean, once you got the fastest MacBook Air or iPhone Pro for me to create content, what is there really that money can buy? So really, it's just about being more fulfilled and helping others, and you realize that once you do that, you're helping create heaven on earth. And especially now, I've got a 3-year-old son, and things make more sense. Like exactly, um, what are we here for? What's the purpose? Is it just to gather more zeros in our bank accounts, and to what end? So yeah, I guess lately my mission more and more is really about building the healthiest version of myself. But of course, when it comes to like Instagram or social media, I layer a lot of superficial aspects. Like, I showcase my body. I talk about people building their sexiest physique, getting ripped, getting shredded, because that is also part of the journey, right? At the end of the day, people don't get motivated to do things because they think that long term that's what's healthy. People get motivated because there's fears, there's desires. They want to fit these clothes. They don't want to, be embarrassed when they take off their shirt in the beach. So I think looking your best and feeling good, whatever you want to call it, vanity, insecurity, narcissism, I think that's all part of the journey. So um, health, looking and feeling my best, and then helping people look and feel their best naturally in a very minimalistic fashion that makes the most sense. That's that's what I'm passionate about.
Most people don't change until the pain of staying the same
Yeah.
outweighs the fear of change.
Yeah.
I would like to know, what was that moment for you?
Because when I was living in Toronto, like I said, it was like successful. I was going to my office with flip flops, with a tank top, and obviously nobody can say shit because I'm the owner. I could go as late as I want and leave anytime I want. But I was like addicted to alcohol, cigarettes, shisha. I was kind of depressed. I was binge watching a lot of movies, watching a lot of pornography, and my life was not miserable. Most people, I think they would consider that like perfectly normal. But I just felt like life's too short, to keep on just going with that flow. So I wouldn't say there's something very specific that made me turn away from the Toronto successful lifestyle into, more of like a health pioneer. Uh,
Spiritual.
yeah, yeah, but it's more like accumulation of many things. I guess it's also a bit to do with in Toronto I hated the cold. Like winter jackets, and the snow just doesn't agree with me. I prefer being somewhere warm with the sun. So it's not just about me disliking the consumerism, because that's a beautiful story and it is true. A big part is also I didn't want to be wearing winter jackets and freezing my ass in the snow for 3 months every year.
Yeah, but I'm not just asking about the move to here to Asia or to Thailand specifically. I'm asking about you changing the whole, the everything that you do. Like you stopped all the businesses. You decided to stop the business, to stop, like you said, alcohol,
Hmm.
cigarettes, pornography, a lot of things that a lot of people are doing. You decided to stop.
Yeah, because that's a beautiful question, man. Yeah, it's nothing to do with morality or ethics or romantic notions, nothing like that. It was just common sense. It's like, if you're doing something that's like hurting you the next day, like you're putting, how do I explain this? Mm, all those self-destructive habits, addictions come with a cost. And then once I start exploring other activities or mindsets or philosophies or lifestyle that soothe the same thing but have less side effects, then it just makes sense to switch. So I guess when it comes to my own personal journey and my own like health habits and addictions, it was always just a constant progress of optimizing and tweaking. Where can we get more benefits and less costs? So if I drink alcohol, I'll feel this good this way, but this is the cost right now and the next morning and probably long term. So I'm always like evaluating things like a calculator, like math. And then you start realizing like, okay, so if you remove alcohol completely or you reduce it, these are what you miss out on, but these are the side effects that you save yourself from. Some of them are real, some of them are perceived.
So very logic.
Yeah, very, very logical. I'm very, very, very logical in how I handle like life. Sometimes too logical.
I think it's actually motivating because a lot of people think change is a one-time thing that you do, like, you felt that you had enough and then you stop everything you're doing now, you change everything. By the way, I'm this type of person, so I'm
Mhm.
very extreme in my changes, for the good and for the bad. But it's also motivate because we can do it gradually, and every time, like you said, tweaking,
Yeah.
changing, look at our life, at ourselves, see what's making us feel good, what's not. I can really relate to the alcohol example you gave because I was drinking alcohol as a kid, with friends, going out, parties. And then for the past few years, I reduced the alcohol. and I was drinking just a little, beer there with
Mhm.
friends, some wine when we have friends over at dinner. But just recently, like for the past few months, I've been drinking even a small amount,
Mhm.
and I feel really bad after that. It's like my body
Yeah.
is already adjusting and telling me to change it, even with a small, like one beer,
Mhm.
which I used to drink three and not feeling anything.
Yeah. That is also completely in line with my own observations. Um, Yeah, because before I was really an alcoholic. I could not imagine having a good time without alcohol. So if it's going out at night, cinemas or parties or house parties or festivals, or even in daytime picnics with family, or even like church camp, I would always bring alcohol with me. Like it's just unfathomable how people can have fun without alcohol. And slowly, like I said, it's gradual changes. It's not something that happens overnight. Um, but now, yeah, I can't imagine drinking alcohol again. But now, when I drink alcohol, like let's say I'm with Nika, we have a bottle of wine. I definitely feel it in my system the next day. Whereas before, I would drink so much and it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me at all. But when you get more healthy, your system just gets a lot more sensitive, and you're able to realize that okay, before that was actually very harmful. I just didn't notice it. But now you're more sensitive to it. Yeah.
I have so many questions here that I wrote, but there are some new questions that's coming up during this conversation. I think a very important topic is the pornography
Yeah.
because I quit watching pornography a few years ago. I grew up thinking that it's okay because all my friends are doing it. This is like our sexual education at that time.
Mhm.
So I have a video about it in my podcast where I talked about why I stopped. But I think it's important for us to focus on it a little more because there's a lot of people who are addicted to it, and it's one of the hardest addictions.
Mhm.
And maybe we can give some, to share your story and give some ideas or tips
Mhm.
or even inspiration to how to stop and why and how it will change their lives.
Yeah. So I have a very addictive personality. So alcohol, cigarettes, shisha, Netflix, even cutting myself with a penknife when I was younger. Um, I was able to stop slash replace all those bad addictions. The hardest addiction to stop was pornography, and this is the last addiction that I was finally able to conquer. But it really is a very big deal because your sexual energy is really like your battery. It's the greatest source of your life force. That sexual energy is transmuted to all other things. So, like learning, putting in effort, working out, journaling, being more patient with your partner, your kids, everything really sources from your sexual energy. So, the problem is when a person or a man, let's just focus on man, when a man is like watching pornography, it's rare that the person has the discipline to just do it like once every 2 weeks. So it very quickly and easily becomes a tool for emotional self regulation. So when you're bored, you're anxious, you're horny, then you watch porn. And there's a lot of men nowadays where they can't really fall asleep without jerking off. And obviously the actual content that you're watching, it really corrupts your perception of what intimacy, what sex is like. It really affects how you view dating and women. But it's not even just about that. It's the physiological act of ejaculating. When you do it too much, your battery, your life battery is basically being drained. So most men, if you're in your 30s, ejaculating once a week is perfectly like fine. But like most men in their 30s are doing it way more often than that. And that's the equivalent of leaving your house, I mean, going out of your house every morning with your smartphone battery at 20%. So most people, they're living life never experiencing what it's like to have their battery fully charged. So most men, they really have like no strength or discipline to handle sexual tension. So basically, whenever they feel horny, they need to release that tension. And this is also what creates a lot of problems between men and women in relationships because, we men, we have higher testosterone, we have higher drive for sex. When we don't get it like immediately, we usually throw tantrums. And this is something that I've been having to work on a lot lately. But yeah, lately I'm realizing the building sexual discipline is the same thing as emotional discipline. So a really big part of this is uh, staying away from pornography. That's like level one. And then you can take it to level two, which is harder. But the first step is stopping pornography.
Um, you say that we don't need to count calories and lift heavy weights to transform our bodies. So, if someone's starting from scratch, how exactly does your blueprint guide the real change step by step?
Yep. Good, good. I'm glad we're talking about health and fitness again. Um, So my whole approach to health and fitness is really just a combination of everything that I've personally gone through. Because when I was younger, I was obsessed with listening to a lot of different podcasts, reading a lot of different books. And there's the Western version of health and fitness, and there's also the Eastern version. There's many different trains of thought. So the Primal Protocol, this is a system that I developed that combines, I guess, the best of both worlds. So I have free content that I make on, my social media platforms, but I also have like video workshops, I have ebooks, and I also have my one-on-one coaching. So it really depends how much a person wants to dive deep into working with me on this health and fitness stuff. But basically there's like food, there's exercise, there's sleep, there's rewilding, which is something I think a lot of modern humans need to be reminded of. This is just realizing that the human body is not an accident. This is like the perfect product of natural selection and human evolution over hundreds of thousands of years. So most of the problems we have today is because we're not living in alignment with our nature. So rewilding is a broad concept that just shows you must honor natural selection and evolution. And then there's also LSD. This is the fifth pillar, which is not the drug. It stands for learning, shielding, and diary. Even though the actual drug, we can have another podcast about the things that, I can share about the topic. But LSD is a learning, shielding, diary. And I'm sure you would agree how important it is to always be learning. Unfortunately, most people after university, they think they can slow down on learning. But, when you slow down on learning, you start like decaying. So, learning, shielding, s- shielding is for the S. I think that's also a very, very important topic nowadays because when it comes to health and fitness, it's not so much the superfood smoothie you drink every Saturday morning. It's more about what are you protecting yourself from on a daily basis? Are you avoiding seed oils? Are you avoiding, pornography? Are you avoiding junk food? So it's not just about what you put in your mouth too. It's also like your smartphone. Like, are you watching the news? Are you constantly watching reality TV shows that are, brainwashing you and microwaving your brain? So S stands for shielding and D stands for diary, which is journaling. And that I'm sure you would agree is a life-changing tool that may seem kind of cheesy and lame, but compounded when you're doing it every night or every morning, it really grounds you, gives you clarity, gives you courage. So basically, food, exercise, sleep, rewilding, LSD, and LSD is I just explained that. The sixth pillar is sex. How do you handle and channel your sexual energy? And obviously it's very different if you're a man or if you're a woman, but being cognizant that this sexual energy really is a very important life source for you if you're a man or woman. I think these six pillars really give you like a very holistic um, overview of your real health. Yeah. So basically, when I'm doing my one on one coaching with clients, it's really combing through their lifestyle and finding out how can we level up your life on these six pillars. So obviously, we don't go deep into each topic every day from day one.
Yeah.
We always focus on the lowest hanging fruits first because a person has limited time and energy. What can we do with that time and energy to get you the most momentum? And the metrics that I'm always obsessing over would be your body fat, your muscle, your energy, and your health. Because the truth is, as far as the physical avatar is concerned, those are the main things. People want less body fat, more muscle, more energy, and more health. Um, And all the free content that I make on social media, they are all kind of touching on these things. And yeah.
I found out that um, if I want to evolve mentally and spiritually,
Mhm.
the best way to get there is start with the physical,
Yeah.
like physically. And I can really relate to what you said because when I work out, when I'm gaining more muscles, when I eat healthy food, when I sleep well, I have clarity. And then I have, it's like my perspective change on life and on everything that I do. So I have different approach now to whatever I want to achieve. So if I want to achieve something in business or in relationship or with friends or maybe a hobby, every time I start, or maybe I have a crisis in life that I need to overcome, I always go to the physical part first. Let's see that this one is checked, like you said.
Mhm.
Let's make sure I sleep well. Let's make sure I eat clean, and let's make sure I work out, and then everything is gonna be okay. I will be able to handle whatever's gonna come.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that?
100%. It's the base of the pyramid. So most people, like, the base of their pyramid is not strong and they're trying to focus on other things. I'm not saying they're wasting their time, but I think it's a lot more stable. You will find out if your goals are really in line with your deepest desire, if you're reflecting on those goals with a solid foundation. So it doesn't matter if you're a bit lost in life or you're really successful. I think your priority should always be dedicating at least some percentage of your time and energy to optimize your physical avatar. Because once your physical avatar is optimized, then you can handle storms better. You can build better things. You can have, you know, more creative breakthroughs. It doesn't matter what field you're in or what industry you're working on. So I think that is currently like my biggest mission, focusing on the physical avatar. Yeah.
Everyone loves the highlight reel on Instagram of the transformation, where you see everything so fast and you see the transition and every step of the way. But where's the part of the journey that's painful, messy, or invisible? The part no one really talks about.
Yeah. Um I think a lot of people, they already know what they should be doing. For sure, there are smarter ways, smarter strategies, countless protocols that are a bit more sophisticated and advanced than what you already know. But if you just focus on the basics, you're gonna get closer and closer to your goal. The coaching that I do with my clients is just to help them get there faster with less mistakes. And basically, with me, keeping them accountable every day, because my one on one coaching is a personal relationship. It's not a fitness app on the phone. For some people, like, they need that. But for most people, um, they just have to do the small things every day and things compound.
Yeah, but it's not easy. It's hard. Like
Yeah.
the transformation takes time.
Yeah.
So, when you talk about the steps and when people sees you, on Instagram and see the results, they see the final product. But what's the price they're gonna need to pay? Not just with you, but every person that wanna, be a better version of themselves.
This is why, like, I think this is why people are drawn to my content, because in some ways I'm expressing to them how they can also do it. And what I mean by this is, I think being still and being quiet is really important for you to get the clarity and courage. Like, clarity and courage are two words that I really obsess upon. Like, clarity about what you want, clarity about where you are, clarity on what you need to do to get to where you want to go. So, just being clear. So, start with that, like clarity. What are your goals? What do you want? And where are you right now as far as your health and fitness is concerned? But this is not just about the physical avatar. This is also about lifestyle, about relationships, about everything. So clarity is something that I'm really obsessed about. But if you're constantly chasing dopamine, Netflix or alcohol, cigarettes, or, going clubbing nonstop, or, buying the latest stuff, you're not going to have clarity because you're just constantly being like pushed around by the marketing mainstream forces. So clarity is really important, and obviously courage. So my whole life is really just focusing on these two things. So even the things that I do for fun, like what is it? It's spearfishing. I like to read books about fantasy fiction. All these things give me courage. So I know what you're. Mm, I know there's obviously a lot of like cliche advice, but I just feel like clarity and courage. These are two things that uh, I strive for in my life, and they've been serving me very well.
Yeah. So you're saying that, people who have better clarity about where they are, where they want to be, and also courage to do these things and to give up bad habits
Yep.
will be able to achieve what they want.
Yep.
But you said before that most people know what they want. Um,
Mhm.
I think a few minutes ago, you said most people know where they want to get or what they want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, if people know where they want to get and what they want to achieve, why they're still not doing it?
Because they don't have enough clarity and courage. So this is why I keep highlighting and hammering those two words again and again and again, because clarity and courage is not a light switch that's like, yes, you have clarity, no, you don't have clarity. It's always like depths of clarity and depths of courage. So those people, I would say, they don't have enough clarity. And what I mean by that is they're not clear enough that the consequence of getting drunk tonight is going to be this. They don't. They want this, they want that, but they're not clear about reality. They're just not seeing reality clearly. So this is what I hope I'm trying to do with social media, giving them like videos, pictures, words to help them see things a bit more clear. And courage is something that you can extract from many things. You can extract it from an interaction with your son, your kid, from a book, from a movie, from an ice bath, from working out. So it's a never-ending process. So basically, I kind of live my life just sensitive to these two concepts, clarity and courage. So everything that I do, I try to fill up those like s- sources of power, because clarity and courage, I feel like when you combine that, that's like love for me. Because like the word love gets thrown around all the time, but like what the heck does love really mean, right? Your interpretation and my interpretation is going to be very different. So my north stars in life is clarity and courage. And I know this is very esoteric, this topic. I didn't mean to be this philosophical as well, but I feel like this is really important to help people get more discipline and gain more like fuel, to get them on their path. Because I understand, like, if you're fat and you're tired and you're not confident, you're not disciplined, you're stressed, your partner is not really supportive, or maybe you don't have a partner and you're very lonely and you need to watch porn or do things just to give you enough dopamine to get through another day, you're borderline, suicidal and depressed. It sucks because you might go to the gym, but you're putting in a lot of effort, you're putting in maximum effort and absolutely zero results. Whereas people like me, I'm at the end of my journey, not at the end, but I've already put in 5, 10 years of, momentum. So for me, there's almost zero effort because the effort itself is pleasurable now for me. But the result is very high. So it's a graph, right? At the beginning of your health and fitness transformation journey, it's maximum effort and zero results. So you're basically like investing thousands of dollars every day and getting nothing back. And then over time, the effort is going to feel less and less because you're enjoying the effort, and the results going to get more and more.
But it's the perception of effort that changes.
The perception of effort gets changed. Yeah.
The situation doesn't change. It's your perception of the
Yeah.
situation that changed, which makes it easier for you to experience it.
100%. Yeah. So basically, that's why coaching is so, important or essential for some people, because it helps you, during that super hard phase in the beginning where there's a very big discrepancy between effort and results.
You talked about courage, and I watched just this morning. I watched a video from the movie Noah and the Ark. And
With
there's
Russell Crowe
no Russell Crowe.
cartoon.
No, no, no. It's a real movie. I forgot the name of the actor, but he was saying there is like in a conversation with the wife of Noah who's having a hard time.
Yeah.
They're in a restaurant, and then uh, he asked her if a person asks for patience from God, do you think God gives him patience? No, he gives him the opportunity to be patient. If he asks for courage, does God make him more courage? No, he give him the opportunity to be courageous. So I think for me, when I heard you talk, I think about other people that are struggling right now. They have the opportunity, but they have to be the one taking the initiative and the step to make the change. You're willing to be more clear, to have the clarity, to sacrifice whatever they have in their life today that makes them feel good, maybe for a moment, for the long term health and success that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's very beautiful, man. Because when someone's starting out, like, because when I was starting out, like, I was skinny fat, I was also broke, I was depressed, I was addicted to so many different things. This was before I became successful in Toronto as an entrepreneur. When I was a new immigrant in Toronto at 18, 19 years old, I couldn't even find a job because nobody credited or recognized my working experience from Singapore. So I was handing out hundreds of flyers across different like shopping malls, and I couldn't even get one interview. So at that point, like I was really depressed. My body was something that I'm not proud of. It was a very bad situation for me. And obviously I felt like a victim. And I think a lot of people who are struggling with their health and fitness transformation journey, it's very easy for them to feel like a victim. And that's a very disempowering story to be playing in your head because it really takes away your health and your happiness. It takes away your battery. But you have to realize that the lower you are and the shittier your situation is, the greater the rewards when you overcome it. So not many not everyone is gonna go from zero to hero, but those that do, all the discomfort, all the pain that you overcome, you're gonna be rewarded for it. And it's the same story, right, with all the athletes or successful entrepreneurs. The greater the obstacle, the greater the reward later on.
You've gone far behind the mainstream in your pursuit of growth, physically, mentally, and spiritually. What are the wildest or most unconventional things you've tried that actually changed you?
Because I think when you're in your 20s, that's really the time for you to experiment. Because once you have a family, I'm not saying that life's over, but you're less mobile. There's more consequences. So when I was in my 20s, I guess I did a lot of different things. Just living life to the fullest. As long as you don't get STDs or get into a car or bike accident, those are the two main things you have to avoid, especially if you're living in tropical places like this. Just don't get STDs and don't get into accidents. But recently, I would say it's Kambo, the frog poison medicine that really changed my life. LSD is also something that really opened my eyes. Um, Obviously, people abuse that drug like everything, but if you're using it therapeutically, with a proper intention, not just to distract yourself in a party, that has been really life changing. Mm, what else?
How was the combo experience? I'm curious because I watched your reel on Instagram and it got me very curious because I've heard about it.
Yeah.
But when you uploaded your reel, you really showed everything, like the entire process of doing it,
Mm.
where he does the circles and then he
Yeah.
puts the combo.
Yeah, I don't think it's shown clearly on the video, but basically it was 3 different days and there were 2 days in between. So it's like, think of it as Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So on Monday, it was 3 dots. So like a stick, fire, tss, 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 and then they put the poison there. And you're supposed to sit with it for 20 minutes. You're not allowed to lie down. But during that 20 minutes, while the poison is being absorbed in your bloodstream, you feel more and more sick. Like it's like dying. it was very uncomfortable and painful. Uh, the first session, it was just three dots, but because your body's not used to it, a lot of people, especially including me, really got the worst effects. So like my face was swollen.
Swallow, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, like
Seen it in the video.
yeah, and I think I posted a picture also. It's like really like someone beat me up. Like my lips were completely swollen, eyes, everything. Uh, and then on the next session, it was five dots on the leg, and then on the last session, it was seven, seven. So three and then four. Um, the best way I can describe it is like a really full detox. You know, it unblocks a lot of different things in your body energetically. Before doing Kambo, I was really into the masculine mode of being. So I'm always like striving, putting in effort, aggressive energy. That's why my way of relaxing is reading books about war. My hobby is spearfishing, which is all about pushing myself, how hard I can swim, how fast, how calmly I can swim so I can stay as long as possible to catch as much and as big fishes as possible. So everything is about like war and striving. That's what my entire life was about. Even like dancing, it's a it's a mating ritual. You know, it's a performance. Even socializing, talking to people, sales calls, everything is about like aggression. Like I don't know how to relax and chill. But Cambo basically unlocked the feminine side within me. Because when you're sitting down with that poison, you're not you're not supposed to be doing push-ups, right? So you're supposed to just like feel all that pain. So that 20 minutes times 3 sessions, I guess it really unlocked something within me. So after that session, I was able to integrate the feminine side within me. And ironically, it's allowing me also to be more masculine, to be more aggressive in the gym, to be more aggressive in business and action taking. So it's really just a medicine from my point of view. I don't think all Cambo people would speak about it as highly as I did. I think a huge aspect also is with the person who did it with me. His name's Gabriel, and we became best friends after this because because the way he guided me too was so super special. And I think the person guiding you makes a very, very, very big difference. And obviously, your mental state and the stage you are in life, all these things, plays a huge role. But for my case, it was extremely healing, extremely empowering, and also made me aware of a lot of inner child uh, compulsions that I had no idea were there before. Yeah.
Do you think physical transformation is ever enough without emotional healing?
Mm, yeah, this is really good because if you've been watching my content the last few weeks, I've really been focusing a lot on my own inner uh, transformation because I realized that external physical material transformation and success is really not enough. Like money, muscles, it's really important, right? Like if you are broke, then yeah, you should do whatever it takes so that you can pay the bills. But then once you have a certain amount of muscles or money, and you're still focusing on that, it's like you've already graduated level one and you keep wanting to play level one again and again. It's like the person who graduated grade school or elementary, and then instead of going to high school, you keep playing back again in grade school. So I would say that for most people, uh, you need to get your physical transformation good first. Because that will also teach you baseline discipline and confidence that's going to carry on to next levels, the other aspects of life that you're lacking. Um, so yeah, I would say definitely it's not enough. You need to keep on leveling up, and it's really like a chain, right? Like the chain is only as strong as the weakest link. So if physically you're doing good, financially you're doing good, but emotionally, sexually, spiritually you're doing bad, then you're better off investing the time and energy instead of boosting your physical and financial. You should shore up your defenses in life, because if you're imbalanced, first of all, I think you definitely pass on that trauma to your kids, because your kids, they don't listen to whatever it is you think you're preaching. They really just copy you. And more importantly, I think they absorb through osmosis your state of being. So, if overall you lack peace, you lack joy, your nervous system is a mess, you don't feel like you're enough, then they're going to inherit that from you.
Yeah.
And I think this is also a big reason why I did this tattoo of yin yang, because I think lately I'm being more aware that there really is always a battle. Even, I mean, within me, there's a battle between the warrior and the king, or the boy and the king. And if I'm always like hustling, like pushing, 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 it's easy for me to forget that that is not my identity. That is just one of the avatars that I have within me. So now that it's here, I can separate that, okay, I am not the black ink. The black ink is the warrior, but I am not the warrior. If anything, I am the king, because the yin, which is the white part, that's like my skin tone. So at least now I can separate the two, you know? This is also like a really big unlock from the Kambo experience. And when I say that the Kambo experience was very transformative for me, I don't mean that, okay, these sessions itself unlocked all these things in my head. No, because 1 week before Kambo, you're supposed to abstain from all kinds of sex. I mean, you're supposed to abstain from sex and other toxic habits, right? So 1 week before and then 1 week after, no sex. But it's not just that. Like after the Cambo session, I was journaling for maybe an average of 2 hours every day for the next 3 weeks. So the the unlocks was all like earned. It wasn't like an ayahuasca or an LSD experience or DMT where you sit down and you
And
don't
then
put in
change your
effort.
life in a minute.
No, this one, Cambo, it's like my my best friend and my teacher. He told me that Cambo is like a medicine that you're gonna unlock more things days, weeks, and even months after your session.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I also wanted to say, to emphasize on this, that the physical transformation is the gateway that leads to the emotional and spiritual transformation, which is part of the journey. And I love the, the first grade metaphor, where you always, if you're staying in the same place, you're not going to feel good, you're not going to feel that you're evolving. So that's the next step, but you have to start with the physical to get to the higher level. um I'm curious today, because if I would ask you that a few years ago, your answer will probably be different. But how has your definition of success changed over the years? And what does it mean to you today?
Yeah, it's changing even more and changing faster the last few weeks, especially after the Cambo session. Definitely when I was like a teenager up to like in my 20s, it was very simple. Success was maximum muscles, maximum money, maximizing fun in the everyday life. So it's just pure hedonism. That was my metric for success. And over time, yeah, it is changing. I'm still in the process of figuring it out, but I think lately it's a lot more to do with self mastery, which is sovereignty, like basically mastering your compulsions, mastering your desires also. Because if you're always just chasing hedonism, like, you're gonna end up like a billionaire or a multimillionaire that's just wanting more and more money, but it's not giving him more peace or joy. Or you're gonna end up like a Leonardo DiCaprio, who is dating younger and younger models while he's getting older, but he's not really getting more fulfilled, right? Like you're eating more, but you're hungrier. It's like a thirsty man drinking more and more salt water. So that's what I've been realizing is the error of hedonism, which unfortunately is the mainstream narrative being glorified for everyone, right? We're individualistic society nowadays. It's all about hedonism. So yeah, lately it's more about sovereignty and I would say service, because I don't know about women, but I think for men specifically, when we are strong and when we're serving either your partner or your family or others, that's when you feel most like a man, from my experience. Of course, there's always that inner boy that wants to take and consume pleasure. But basically, hedonism, you're consuming, but that consuming doesn't really give you fulfillment. It kind of leaves you more empty, more thirsty. So you want to consume a bigger cake. But the opposite is fulfillment. And I feel like, just being as strong as possible and being of service. I think I would say this is like the path or the stairway of enlightenment, when you tick these boxes and experience it for yourself, not just in theory.
What are the three tiny daily habits that create huge shift in the way someone feels, thinks, and show up physically? So, if someone listening to us right now and feels stuck, what are the three things you recommend them to start and doing today?
I think prioritizing exercise, so sweating every day, you want to move your body, because if you're just always sitting down from your living room sofa to your office or the chair, sorry, if you're always just sitting down from, your sofa and then public transport or your car and then the office, then your mental emotional state is already compromised, because biochemically, like, you cannot feel good if you're not taking care of your vehicle. So sweating every day is important, ideally resistance training, because there's something about, resistance training that's really good for your muscles, for your fat, for your overall mood. So prioritize exercise and also prioritize eating healthy, because the food that you eat literally becomes a part of your body. So if you're eating garbage food, then then obviously you're gonna feel like crap, right? And when it comes to food, you have to eat food that your great great ancestors would recognize as food. So this obviously means avoiding or completely removing processed food, processed sugar, a lot of these seed oils. So you want to eat like whole natural food. So yeah, exercise, food, and sleep. If you're glued to your smartphone for like 2 hours, you're scrolling until midnight, even when you do fall unconscious, your brain is not ready to be recovering. So, improving the quality of your sleep, this means before you go to bed, no more screens. And ideally, if you can do like a 10-minute meditation before you go to bed, that's going to improve the quality of your sleep. It's also going to make you feel more sleepy. So you can fall asleep earlier. The quality of your sleep is better. When you wake up the next day, you have more energy. And when you have more energy the next day, then it's much easier to exercise and to eat healthy. And when you do those two things, it's much easier to sleep early again and meditate. So when it comes to health, it's really just about like spirals, right? You can be spiraling down, or for most people, they've already spiraled all the way to the bottom and they're just trapped there. Or you can spiral up. And when you're spiraling up, everything adds up. Like me journaling affects my sleep, and the ice bath, the sauna, the training, the food, the meal prep, gratitude, meditation, all these things like add up and help. But yeah, I would say those are the three most important things: food, exercise, sleep. But you probably already know this,
Yeah,
right?
no, but yeah, we talk about it a lot in our episodes,
Yeah.
but it's always nice to hear it again. It gives you another confirmation that, okay, that's what I need to do. It's simple. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it's simple.
And there's a blueprint that I have. It's the Primal Blueprint. It's like a 10-page PDF that I made a few years ago, and I think it's still very, very relevant now. It breaks down what are the things I think people should focus on when it comes to the 6 pillars. Because I'm not saying that, oh, you should stop learning more information, because sometimes like these new information, it gives you that excitement, that gives you that activating energy to get stuff done, at least for this day or this week. So Yeah, I mean, I know some people say like podcasts, they're a waste of time. You should just do the basics. I'm not really saying that, even though there's also some truths to that. But yeah, the Primal Blueprint. If they go to my Instagram, message me Blueprint,
We can
then
add it
yeah,
at the description of the episode. We can put a link. Jerome, we're getting to the end of the episode,
cool.
and I have my last question here. If everything you've built disappeared tomorrow, what's the one lesson you'd still want the world and your child to remember?
I think let's tie it back to the clarity and courage. Yeah, I would say really focus on clarity and courage because I think that is the essence of life.
Beautiful. You know, this conversation reminded me that transformation isn't about always doing more. It's also about becoming more like a better version of yourself, more having clarity, having courage, more aligned with who you really are. I want to thank you for showing us that healing doesn't have to look like, like a punishment. That it's a transformation. It's a step by step, and we can start from, something small and then change it over time and go up the ladder. And I want to thank you for coming here and agreeing to be a guest on this podcast. I had a great time. It was a pleasure talking to you. And to everyone listening, if there's something pulling you towards change, don't ignore it. Follow it. See where it leads. I'm doing the same right now, and maybe we'll meet on the way. Jerome, thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.